We are entering the back to school season, and that can be a challenging time for some families. Maybe your child's starting a new grade, a new school, or even just starting school for the first time. It can be overwhelming for parents with what can feel like a million questions and concerns, but also excitement and pride in your students as they take on this new challenge. We have invited some of our News4JAX team members, all with kids in different grades, with different experiences, to sit down together as we are talking about this upcoming school year. Are we excited about this?
Yes.
Yes. We're all nervous about talking about the school year. So I'm going to introduce everyone. This is Matt Kinzig. He's our senior editor. We all work in the newsroom together. Matt has a son named Hayden, who's in 6th grade,
Correct.
and a daughter, Savannah, who is in 2nd grade. And you're over with me in Clay County.
That's right, we are, Clay County.
Getting ready to deal with redistricting soon.
Yes, that'll be a whole new challenge for us.
Yes. All right, Matt. Then we have Travis Gibson. Travis is a digital reporter with us. He works on our website. You have a son, Axel. He is going into pre-K, 4 years old. That means you are a first-time school dad.
Yeah, you know, very scary and exciting at the same time. So, yeah, a whole new world.
It's going to be fun. All right, Ashley Harding. Ashley is our 5:30 and 6:30 p.m. evening news anchor and reporter. Ashley, you have a son named Cal. He is going into 3rd grade. He's an only child.
Yes, he is. He is an only child.
But you are an expert at this because you were an only child.
Represent right here.
All right, and we also have Jason Phillips. Jason is one of our editors. Jason has 2 sons. Keegan is going into kindergarten, and Brennan is going into 11th grade.
A bit of a spread there.
Calculate that big old gap there.
But even then, having 2 ahead of little man, it's kind of like, oh, but things are already different now 10 years later or whatever, so it's a learning process all over again. So I'm kind of with Travis here in some respects starting over.
Yeah.
You also have the daughter. She is out of school at this point, but so we're going to focus on these 2 who are in school. Tell me, what are we excited about? Let's talk good stuff first. What are we most excited about?
Frankly, for me, it's just watching him continue to grow and see what he's learned over the years. And, you know, it's just amazing to see how far they come. I think we all know what I'm talking about, where they started and where they are now. That's what I enjoy the most.
Yeah. And Travis, you said you were a little scared because your first
Yeah,
time.
I mean, it's a big change, right? He's going from kind of more like a smaller daycare to, we call it the big kid school, right? With a big backpack and, you know, it's a K-8 school. So just that like change in scale, that's, you know, I'm just a little nervous. How's he gonna handle that? But, you know, it really is exciting and it is super fun to watch them grow and just look back at just a few years ago. He, you know, was barely doing anything. Now he's starting to read and yeah, it's an exciting time.
Is he liking shopping for school stuff?
Yeah, he's kind of like, at the beginning when we started floating the idea, he's like, you know, thinking about missing his friends, but all his friends are going to school, so he's starting to feel excited. We have a tour tomorrow, so things are starting to get real.
Very cool. I don't know, at 11th grade, is your son still excited about back to school shopping, Jason?
No.
No.
It's been hard to get him excited about much being a teenager. I mean, he's told me he's got a lot of the clothes that he needs, so it's actually going a little bit better for me than I thought, but I had to buy some monster size 13 shoes so he could go to marching band camp this summer, which is going on right now at Revolt. And after that, just some socks and underwear. He's actually pretty easy.
Wow. See what you have to look forward to, Matt?
Oh, I know.
Yours are younger, so I imagine the excitement's still there, right?
It is, yeah. And, you know, they're looking forward to the new challenges. They've done summer reading programs over the summer to kind of continue that education. And so for them, it's, you know, it's fitting in with the new crowd. It's the new friends. It's the new excitement. And so, you know, my daughter, she's really excited to continue to go and learn more things. And my son, you know, he's just doing fantastic. So every school year brings a new excitement and a new challenge.
You mentioned something there. You said that your son thinking about, the friends, and he's going to be, next year he's going to be going to a different school.
Yes.
So are all of his friends going to be leaving? Or?
So some of them are, and some of them are going to stay with them. I think that's a challenge for a child at that age. They have to learn to adapt to new culture, new environment, and so we'll get through this year, and we'll see how it goes. Finish out strong, and where I live in my county, they've redistricted us for a new school, so a new zone, and so that for him is a little bit making him a little bit nervous, but he's ready for the challenge.
And even if it's middle school or whatever, great. That is really tough, just getting your kids ready to get away from you and deal with the challenges of personalities and bullying and, where are you in the hierarchy of friends? How do you deal with that without, I always found myself, I have 2 daughters. One's going into 9th grade,
Wow.
high schooler, and one is going into 7th grade. But, wanting to get in there and fix the problem for them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, well, you're shaking your head, no?
No, I think the same thing. It's like drawing that line of like, how much do you get involved? I mean, obviously it's much different, 4-year-old, 5-year-old thinking about those things, but I'm already definitely thinking about those. I'm like, how do y'all deal with that? I'm already thinking so far ahead.
Well, my son is painfully shy. He's exactly the way I was at his age, extremely shy, very, very introverted. That's actually why we got him into karate, because I felt like that was a natural confidence builder, and he's getting more into it. But, he's in summer camp right now. He came home last week and said some kids were mean to him. I was ready to go. I was ready to go.
Mama Bear.
Do you know karate?
I can learn. I can learn, Mama Bear here.
That's interesting. You said, to help build his confidence, you got him involved in karate. And
I
he likes.
did.
What, is anybody else's kids involved in extracurricular activities?
Yeah, my son plays sports. He loves sports. My daughter does too, and so I think having that ability to experience that and participate in that prepares them for what the school year is going to be like. You have to have new circle of friends. You have to learn to adapt to changes, and so it definitely helps. I think it helps with self-esteem. It helps with confidence in so many levels. And not every kid likes sports, but there's certainly options and avenues that they can explore.
Yeah, Jason, I know your son is very interested in band.
Right. Yeah. As I mentioned earlier, he's in the marching band at Ribault. Go Trojans. Last year was his first year, and he did pretty well. He played sousaphone, tuba. He's like 6'3", so they gave him the big, heavy instrument to lug around on the field. And he did all right with that. Then he changed to actually baritone horn for concert season. Now they've put him on bass trombone. So here at camp right now, he's actually learning yet another instrument, and he catches on pretty well.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to being a little more active with the band program this year. And one thing that we've actually had come from that is last year they played at Edward Waters College for an event during the football season. And a couple days later, Edward Waters' band director came to Ribault and said, "You guys are great, a bunch of talented kids here. Who wants a scholarship?" But my son was a sophomore last year, so he wasn't able to get lined up, but I'm really pushing him. He's got some learning difficulties with some things. He's not good with math, but if you could get the accommodations you need for the other stuff, push yourself in band and get that scholarship, this can, take you to the next level. He's really interested in IT. Edward Waters has an IT program. He could, who knows, maybe get some other interest somewhere if he keeps up too. So
That is
really seeing it just like
exciting.
football or something, a step to a better future for him.
Push. That's a trigger
Push.
word here, for me at least. So my daughters are both great at swimming. They could care less if they swim or not. The interest is just not there. But I see potential. Do I push them? Do I make them do something?
I don't have to push him into something he doesn't want to do. He's got I think he's got perfect pitch and some other musical talents that I don't have. I play guitar and I'm like, I'm okay, but he stole my guitar during the pandemic and was locked in his room playing instead of concentrating on his remote classes at the time, and that springboarded into going into marching band. He wants to go into the jazz band, and so what I'm trying to push him to do is, you may not be able to take some conventional routes to get where you want to be, but you got some other talents. So, let's focus on those. Don't let the school stuff beat you down. He kind of let some things get him down last year. I'm like, just keep your head down, do the grind. This will be your big outlet here, and we'll see where this takes you.
So encouragement as opposed to forcing.
Right,
I don't know, Matt. Your son likes football, but what do you guys think? What if your child is not interested in anything? And we all know how much a team can help them, or making friends outside of a classroom can help them. So what do you do?
I mean, I think you have to guide them. That's really the main thing. You don't want to force them to do something because they're not going to enjoy it. For us with sports and things outside of school, it's never been about, hey, I want you to do this certain thing. It's about what are your interests. Talking to them, and you start to kind of have that feeling of, okay, I know what avenue they want to explore. The younger they are, they want to do everything, and they'll try everything that they can. But I think as they get older, they kind of figure out, okay, this is what I'm good at, this is what I enjoy. And as a parent, I think you have to just be open to, okay, I'm just going to let my child figure this out. But you're there as a safety net. You want to catch them when they fall. But I certainly think just kind of guiding them along, but not pushing them.
Yeah, and like at my point of parenting 4 years old, I'm just trying to just introduce them to like as many things as possible, right? And just, they get bored easily at that age too. So it's just like, you gotta switch stuff up. Basketball, soccer, I mean, I'm a sports guy, but I really want him to explore music. My mom was very musical, art, all those kind of things. So I'm just trying to just throw everything at them, keep them busy, and see what happens. Like you said, let them kind of decide, but it's up to us to give him a chance to experience those things. That's how I'm approaching it.
Yeah. And you also mentioned something else. You said that your kids were involved in summer, did you say schooling?
It's like
or
a reading program that they do, yeah.
Okay.
And at first, they were apprehensive. I don't want to do more school outside in the summertime. But as they did it, they realized, okay, I enjoy this. This is really going to help us on the next grade level. And so my daughter's actually going through that program right now. She has about another week or two left. And, I think it's helpful. I obviously want them to enjoy summer, but school is a big part of their life, and we wanted to continue that.
So I'm hearing not push, but hey, and explaining this is going to help
Correct.
you.
Encourage, yeah.
Encourage, yeah. And did everybody have, I don't know, some schools have programs where, they give you homework that you have to finish, or they give you reading lists for school. I don't know if you guys had to deal with anything like that.
We have not dealt with anything like that, but we did have our son go through tutoring. And, the idea is to avoid the summer slide, as they call it, because, man, that stuff's real. It really is real. But we also just wanted to keep him engaged. And, he said something to me that was really encouraging when we were taking him to tutoring. I said, do you like tutoring, buddy? You want to gauge how he feels about something. He's like, yeah, I get to learn stuff.
Huh, okay.
Which was cool.
To
It's
hear
cool
that.
to hear, yeah.
How did you find a tutor? Did you go through the school? Did you go online?
Well, believe it or not, we've had a couple tutors over the years. The first one was referred to be by my dear friend Melanie Lawson.
Oh,
Yes.
who also works here in the morning.
Exactly. So we went to her for a couple of years, and she focused mainly on reading and language arts and comprehension and writing. He's doing really well with that, but we spotted a challenge with math. So this summer we paired him with a tutor that specializes in math, because we know that third grade's going to be a little more robust, is what we're hearing.
Yeah.
So.
And we did the same thing. Our youngest daughter, she just needs that little extra time to allow the information to sink in so she can really get it. So we have had a tutor. We went through our school. It's a retired teacher who was helping her. So, she has never complained, because I think she realizes that it helps.
Yeah.
And it's not every day. It's not like school every day. It's like twice a week for an hour.
Right, exactly.
I'm like, come on, just read a book. She does it. She's good. But you, very interesting, when I was talking to you about your son, you chose a Montessori school. And I don't know a whole lot about Montessori, so what's the difference?
Yeah, and I didn't know a lot either, but we started looking into it. It's very interesting. There's a few things that we like. Number one, they're grouped together by age, by multiple ages, excuse me. They're not grouped together by age. So it's in his class, it's like 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, and 5-year-olds. And there was even a 6-year-old in his class. So you kind of you get to learn from the older kids, you get to see kids that are already learning, and also it helps where you don't have to learn at the same pace as everyone else. Like if you're reading at a higher rate than someone that's the same age, you're kind of grouped with the older kids. So we really like that. Montessori's all about like teaching life skills, so he's learning like really clean up after himself, how to pour, how to set a table. He serves other students during snack time.
Wow.
Like different things like that. It's kind of interesting. And then like also since you're grouped together, you stay with the same teacher for 3 years, for up to 3 years. So, studies have showed staying with a teacher multiple years kind of helps. Instead of changing teachers every year, they just know you better. So there's a few things that we really liked about it. And one of the main things is you kind of, you focus on kind of things that you like. You're not like, here, do this assignment today. Everyone's doing the exact same thing. They give kids a little more freedom. So we kind of like it. I mean, I don't know if we're gonna do that all the way through school, but I felt like at this point, it was good for him. So he is going into a public Montessori Duval school here in the fall.
Well, it must have worked because you were telling me he's already starting to read.
Yeah, he's doing great.
He's 4.
It's hard to tell. Like, are they memorizing the stuff or are they reading? Like, but no, he's really good. I think Montessori has helped with that. Their system of helping learn to read, sounding out everything. I feel like he's progressing. Obviously, we're all big on reading. Like, we're in the words business. That's like a big thing for me. And I feel like probably all of us like read, and we know how important it is for future success. So yeah, we feel like he's progressing really well, but still nervous about kind of that next big step.
Yeah. Talking about accommodations and making sure that your child, when you notice something, we noticed that our youngest needed a little more time and needed tutors to help out there. If you notice something as a parent, how do you go about finding the people who can tell you, yes, for sure, what you're thinking is right, or no, just give them a year? How do you go about doing that, Ashley?
Yeah, well, our son was diagnosed with ADHD. Now, it's not the hyperactive exactly. He's not. It's not behavioral problems. It's not anything like that. It's more so the attentive. He was just zoning out. His teacher said he's good in class, but one even said, once he's gone, it's hard to get him back. So that's when we went to his doctor and they referred us to a child psychologist. So we had him evaluated. She said, he's bright, that's not the issue. He does talk, so she ruled out autism and other things like that. And we just figured out that this was attention deficit disorder. So with accommodations, all we wanted for him was to have a little bit more time. He has a 504 plan, so that works there. He works
504.
Is
it like an IEP?
It's
like a
not
step
quite an
below that.
IOP.
It's not as legally binding, but it's still kind of a plan in place. This is what we're going to do with your
Right.
child to help
Okay.
accommodate
Yeah.
them through their education.
Exactly. So it's for him. It allows for some more time on things. He sits near the teacher. He gets to work in some smaller groups. We've already noticed a huge difference just with that. And, we want him to understand that he is a bright child. A lot of people learn differently. And it's okay. We want to make sure that he doesn't feel isolated, doesn't feel like being a little different's bad. It's not. In a lot of ways, it's what makes us all unique. And we see that more as adults, I think, and appreciate it more.
And making sure they're not isolated. One thing that we all know we have to be on top of is that social media. Oh, God. Which can at times be isolating. It can be overwhelming if you're on the other side of an argument that's happening and it's just going online by text. And Holy moly, Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw his face.
What the heck?
So that becomes a big challenge. I think you have to regulate things as a parent. You have to watch carefully.
Going
But
into 6th grade, does your son?
he has a social media platform, but we're very strict on what he's allowed to use and not use on that platform. But it becomes not only just the social media platforms, but it can become the group text messages with friends that become a little bit too aggressive or become a bully. And you have to watch that because the emotions that your child or children will show or not show sometimes are concerning. So you have to watch that. But you have to be in constant communication with them. My son will come out to me and say, "Dad, can I use this app? My friends are on it." Absolutely not. You're not downloading that at all. You're just not old enough. And so it's really, you have to pay attention. Social media is the way of the world these days.
Yeah. And you know what? I've noticed that even though we may say no, there are other kids' parents who say yes to different things. And so then your child goes boop-a-doop-a-doop over and just, hey, I'm not on it, they are, but I'm watching. So what my husband and I did, and so far it's worked, so far, we kind of had those weird conversations and tried to jump out ahead of them. Okay, you know what? There's a lot of guys on here, a lot of girls on here who are looking for sex or and just saying the word, they're like, Mom, what? Mom, oh, come on, Mom. But saying these trigger words that are very uncomfortable, even for me on the inside, has made it more comfortable for them to come to me when they have a question. Because then the questions that they come to me about, inside I'm going, what are you talking about? How do you know about that? But out on the outside, I say, I am so glad you asked. But when we talk about it, but there have been some really uncomfortable
It's a challenge
things.
because it's something we didn't have when we were that age.
Yes.
Social media was get up on your bike and go out and ride to your friends. That was it. That was your networking.
Right.
And it's so challenging to get them out there.
It is.
Especially when it's so hot out. Here in Florida, Mom,
And it's a different environment. When we grew up, you could go out and you could stay out until the street lights came on, and your parents trusted where you were, and you were home, and that was the deadline. You can't do that now. You have to watch them like a hawk. I will say that my wife and I have a big understanding with our children that we want them to be able to tell us everything. And there is no hiding and no secrets. And that is so important because sometimes the child's uncomfortable. They don't want to talk to their parents because it's an awkward conversation. There's something that was said in the group text with their friends. We don't let that happen. It's, hey, we're watching your phone, we're watching your text messages. Why do children have phone these days? I don't know. When I was a child, I didn't have a phone.
But at the
it
same
is
time,
a
we
new
didn't
world.
have to worry about people running
didn't.
into schools
No.
and shooting up
Correct.
schools and
Correct.
doing all that kind of thing. So
Totally
it's almost
different.
like you want them to be able to contact you if there's an emergency.
Absolutely.
But you've got that aspect where, how do you check it? But at the same time, don't you trust me?
Right.
How do you do that, Jason?
I
You've
keep
got an
an ear
older.
out when he's in his room because he'll video chat a lot. Of course, I've had to yell several times. I heard that. Watch your mouth. But it's also kind of hard parenting my middle child because he's like 6'3", so I'm 6'2", and I got to look up to him now. Stop that. But also, he follows me on my account, so I can see what he's doing. So I do kind of keep an eye on that and keep an, what is he posting for stories? What kind of comments is he making? And so far, nothing that's been overtly concerning. He seems to know I'm watching him, and he kind of behaves.
It's almost like its own job. Like you have to set aside time to check and look and ask and talk. And you see what you have to look forward to, Travis?
I know. For me right now, it's all about screen time. I don't want him to just be, that's the only thing he does. But of course he wants to watch. He's got older cousins that have phones and have, Nintendo Switch and all that stuff. So it's just now it's just trying, like you guys said, trying to set boundaries of the amount of time time, and so that doesn't become a regular thing, and you have to learn to play with yourself because he's an only child as well, you know, so just trying to, you know, make sure he has a good balance, while at the same time you can't avoid it, right? It's just trying to, that's just the challenge.
And have there not been times, let's all be honest, where you're like, oh gosh, I just got to get this done. Here, can you just watch this just for a second?
Yep.
Just watch
Guilty.
it.
Every day, every day. Yeah, my daughter's 6, going on 7, and my son's older. And so when she sees what he's doing, she wants to be a part of that. So we actually this morning just had a conversation as she's getting in the car going to camp. When am I going to get a phone? You're not going to get a phone. You're 6 years old. So it's just, you have to have that.
But I will say there are some kids who are that young who have phones, but you'll find other situations where, you know, parents are separated or divorced, and one parent lives in one state and one's in the other, and that phone is the only way. So, you know, there are exceptions. No judgments here, but it's just interesting when you put all these kids who come from so many different backgrounds and ways of doing things together, navigating that as parents. It's like, holy, I have got a headache. Can you just give me 5 minutes and I'll be right back? But what I'm curious about, you know, Travis, you and I have talked a lot about our upbringing, and are there things that happened in your upbringing that you want to make sure that your child does when it comes to school, or things that happened that you say, oh, I got to make sure he doesn't do that?
Yeah, be better than me. Like, I was one of those kids where, like, I was really good student up until, like, I don't know, like 6th grade or something, and then for whatever reasons, kind of lost interest and lost, like, the love for school. So I'm just like, that's always in the back of my mind. Like, how do I keep him interested in school, curious, make it challenging enough, you know, make it different enough where he, like, stays a good student all the way, because I was not that. So that's, like, always.
You weren't a good student?
I was not, no. I know, so shocking to so many people here. But, I mean, I came to like it a lot more later in my life, in college and things like that, but yeah, so that's the main thing. Keeping him interested in school. How do I do that to make sure, like, he just gets the best education possible? And that's what's crazy too, is, like, I feel like all the decisions I make right now, even at 4 years old, is gonna impact his life forever, you know? So that's the pressure, like, I feel right now. I'm sure that doesn't go away, like, but it's like, so that's just, like, especially starting a new school, like, that's what I'm thinking about.
What's cool, though, is that even though you went through all those troubles in school, you know what to look for, probably even better than the rest of us, because you were there.
Yeah.
You know? I mean,
exactly.
did you get yelled at by the principal?
Yeah.
Well, see, but you know now. And so
the assistant principal and the teacher. And
Going down the list here.
But do you see what I mean, though? That,
Yeah.
you can use those experiences, and now you have an ear for that.
Yes,
Which
that's
is
the goal. Turn my badness into a goodness for the kid. Yeah, that's definitely the challenge. But I mean, we just want what's best for all of our kids, and just trying to figure that out is so different for all of us.
Now, you see, with us, growing up, my parents were a lot older. You know, my mom had me and my sister when my mom was, like, pushing 40, and my dad was in his 50s. So they were from the generation where you don't talk about sex, you don't talk about, you know, all that kind of stuff. So there wasn't a whole lot of talking. So now I feel like I'm doing the opposite and over communicating, where, you know, the 14-year-old is like, Mom, I don't know that I really need to know all that, but thanks. So, you know, I guess you can be too much of every side of that, you know? I don't know. Am I by myself? There's like crickets.
No,
You're not.
I think you have to have that over communication. That's the world we live in now, and that's, you know, I think we owe it to our children to make sure they're informed. It may be uncomfortable at times, but for their protection and for their growth, I think you have to inform them. Now, obviously, there's things you leave out and you just kind of don't want to talk about it. It becomes uncomfortable for the parents, but you have to take that step forward.
I feel like uncomfortable conversations lead to progress, quite frankly. And I know you have to find the balance as a parent, of course, but you know, I want to guide my son. And I want him to know that he has a voice, but I also want him to understand that, you know, as a kid, you're gonna mess up.
Thanks.
But you know
It's true. It's true.
You know what I'm saying? You're gonna do things though that looking back on, you're like, oh, man, you know what I'm saying? But I'm also a believer that character is built by things that are difficult, not easy. That's what I think. So, like I say, I just want to guide him the best I can. I want him to know that he can come to us. There are no secrets, and if there is a secret, that's something bad. I want him to know that he can trust us. We're the ones who are there for him, no matter what. Not anyone else.
Very fine. You're right.
Yeah.
In the end, it's your family, you know, who's got your back. And so it's important. You're right. Getting that message into here is the challenge.
It is.
Gosh.
It can be.
Huh?
I said it can be. You know, we were talking last night about my son, middle child, the one in high school, being a little difficult at times. So, yeah, I feel like I have to drive things into him, you know, some concepts, and you just don't do that when you're, you know, in a learning environment. You know, you don't talk back to your teachers like that.
It's tough, but you're.
But,
and you, I know
but I've
your
also
son-
warned him too. Like, if you keep doing it, you're on your own.
And you also, you know, we were talking about accommodations. Your son was diagnosed with ADD, but also ODD, which
Yes.
I had never
Father.
heard of. ODD.
Yeah, it's something they put on for a child, a child who's more oppositional or more oppositional defiant disorder, I think is what it means. But that combined with the ADHD when he is younger made him very active and kind of combative at times, but he's mellowed out. So that's
How
helped
do you
out.
help them, you know, when they have issues, how do you help them integrate that into the public setting, into school with friends, especially because, you know, especially with kids, you say one little thing and they take it the wrong way, and then all of a sudden, you know, it's, so how do you help your child?
Well, in our case, you know, like Ashley, we got a 504 for both him and for our oldest daughter. She got an autism diagnosis, a mild case of it. But as Ashley was saying earlier, you know, be an advocate for your kid the whole way through. It could make some of the social aspects probably a little more difficult. You know, both of them experienced some bullying in middle school. That made things pretty hard, like to the point where our daughter didn't want to go, and she stayed in homeschool for a few years.
Now, did you notice the bullying, or did your children come to you and tell you?
In our daughter's case, she would just be very quiet for a while. I'd go and pick her up from school, and she didn't want to talk. And I'd, you know, hey, you can talk to me. You know, what's going on? She just, you know, it's how kids can be sometimes. They feel like they're admitting to a fault or something if that's happened. So she just wanted to open up, and she'd kind of go back to being her normal self again. It was actually at the end of the year when she finally went, I don't want to go to school next year because this happened. The kids were saying this about me, or, you know, making fun of me for having autism. And like, if you spoke up more, we could have addressed it with the administrators then. I know you're scared, but you need to be able to talk to us. You know, we're here to help you. We're not going to force you to do something you don't want to do or make the situation worse for you. You know, then our son experienced some bullying, but being a boy, he just, you know, kind of brushed it off and got over it. And he's, you know, very social in high school now. So
It's what I am hearing also is that is something that happened early on. And so it's like as things crop up, if you address them, the way you address those things that are so easy in your mind, you know, to handle, it's like the children make that a core memory, and they remember, okay, well, next time it may increase the severity or level of you know, whatever this is that they're agitated by. But I remember when my kids were younger, you know, they're of mixed race. My husband's white. And so they go to school, they look a lot different than a lot of their friends. And so some of the girls were really interested in my daughter's hair because she had black hair, but she was very light-skinned. So for a while there, it was really hard for her because she didn't have hair like all of her friends. So we had to go through an entire school year where every time we would go to Walmart or Target, or I'd get a magazine, I'd say, hey, look at the billboard. Look, there's somebody who has hair like you. Look. And I would find a model on TV. Look at this model. Isn't she beautiful? Look at her hair. But it's like that constant reinforcement. And it took literally an entire school year just to have her. It wasn't like they were being mean. They were just fascinated. They just wanted to be, oh, let me tell. And for her, she felt like, you know, like a zoo animal on display. So it was just like, at times it was tiring. Like, am I having to tell her this again? I just told her last week. But again and again and again. And eventually she worked through it, and she feels really good about it, that she can make her hair and do all kinds of cool things with it, and her friends can't.
And I promise, her hearing that from you and pointing out people who look like her, that meant the most that it came from you, Joy, their mom. I'm certain of that.
Yeah.
Wow.
It might be maybe years from now when I look back on it.
Yeah, of course.
It'll feel that way. Right now, I'm just like, whew, okay, what's next?
There's always something next.
Always.
I know y'all are making me feel like I've had it easy. Like he's just like I got a tough road ahead. Because in a lot of respects, I have all these huge social things, like social media. Don't have to worry about that. There's a lot of challenges, but I do love working and talking to y'all. Like we have conversations all the time. Like Mel helped me, get ideas on how to get Axel to brush his teeth. Like we always share ideas on and talk about our kids. I just think that's so helpful to just learn from each other and, have that people that you can ask questions to, around the office. And
You kind of, when you're a parent, you kind of feel like you're part of a community, especially when they get into school, because you always want feedback. Like, somebody said this to my kid, and it was kind of weird. What do I do?
Yeah.
There's no book on how to be a perfect parent. No. You learn every day, and you just have to
It's like
adapt
school
to it.
for us.
Right.
It is.
Or there's 10,000 books on how to, that's really the truth. There's so many books, you don't know which one's the one I should read, It's like you're overwhelmed with like parenting advice and stuff like that, so.
I think that's what our parents did, they would teach us the best they could, and they learned on the fly. And you learn from your mistakes, you really do, especially if you have multiple children. I know I have. What I've done with my son and what I do with my daughter are totally different because you learn from the first child. But you do the best you can, and your children see that. I think you have to enforce that love and support behind them, and they do. They're little yous.
They are.
So
That's what I call them,
yeah,
mini-me's.
right.
I gotta ask, how did Melanie tell you to get your kid to brush his teeth?
Oh yeah, so it was, it's just one of those fights every day. It's like, really, we got to fight about brushing teeth again today? Like we do it every day. So she goes, it's almost like a scared straight tactic. She was like, show him a picture of some brown teeth.
Oh man. She's no joke.
And I swear to God, it worked though. So I was, because the key that I'm trying to do is like, why, explain why why do I have to brush my teeth every day? I don't think he can see it. And we're like, well, we want you to be healthy. We don't want your teeth to fall out. So she's like, show him a picture. And I swear we did. And we're like, if you don't brush your teeth, this could happen. And it worked. I swear, every time he's like fights, he thinks about it. And I saw the dentist had the same thing, so it's not like that outrageous. The dentist had the
It's a
pictures
great
in
idea.
there,
It is.
So I was like, because I think it really does drive home, like, this is why we're asking. It's not just because like we're demanding, like, I'm just like telling you what to do because it's fun. It helps them understand, oh, this is the reasoning, and it kind of connects some dots. So
I guess I got lucky because our 5-year-old he's been very enthusiastic. He's got his Bluey electric toothbrush. Because when he first learned how to brush his teeth on my own, he'd come up to me, Dad, look, I learned how to brush my teeth, and then open his mouth up really big and show me all his shiny white teeth, or blow in my face.
All right, we could talk forever. I love this, and I really wish we could. But think of that one piece of advice that you have. And I know, you may think that you have youngest, really, really young, but you have your own experiences too. So is there one piece of advice that you would give to parents? And mine, I'll start, is try not to say no. I have tried, my parents, no. Why? Because we said so. No. No, you can't. No, 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 no. So even if the answer in my head I know is no, I say, you know what, maybe not now, but let's revisit it in 6 months. Or, you know what, that sounds like a great idea, but let's wait until you're 13 and this is why. Let's wait, or yeah, let's do that. But instead of doing it this way, let's do it this way. That's a little compromise because I'm a little worried. So that, I try not to ever say no because it sounds so door shut, clamp, we're done.
Yeah.
All right, you first. Matt.
The no part, that is absolutely true. I think if I could give one piece of advice to parents, it would be take a step back, breathe, have patience, and realize that they're learning, that this is a process, and they will push your limits. Mm-hmm. They will push buttons you didn't even know you had. But take that step back and realize, okay, they're watching your actions. They're watching how you respond, and just try to, address the situations calmly, and continue trying. Don't give up. I know it's hard being a parent sometimes. Don't give up, because in the end, what you do matters, and they will become adults. And you want to look back on when they were children and say, I didn't wish that time away, because it goes so fast. And continue to love them.
Travis?
Yeah, I can't give any advice. I feel like a rookie. Like, I don't know I have no clue what I'm doing. But the best piece of advice that I got that really resonated with me is just show up, be present, just like be there, be involved, be engaged with them all the time. Like, I thought that was just really important, just showing up, being present, being involved. I just feel like that's everything. And that's what I've tried to do. Am I perfect? Of course not. But that was a piece of advice that I got that I thought was really valuable and important.
Ashley?
My piece of advice, it kind of goes hand in hand with what you said, Joy. I mean, obviously we're parents. We have to be firm. We do. But listen to your children. Let them know that they have a voice. If they want to set a boundary, let them explain why. Don't just say no, like you said, but let them know that their thoughts, their wants, their needs are being heard. Because I can tell you, I grew up with a parent I love dearly, but she did not hear me a lot. It wasn't until I was even an adult that I learned that I have choices. I didn't know I had choices because that's what I was exposed to. And I want my son to know that he's always going to be heard.
And Jason?
I guess playing off that, make sure they know that when they talk to you about their concerns are valid. I'm not there to oversee everything, so if there's something concerning them, I have to listen to them. And that's their reality at that moment. And trying to work with that the best I can. I encourage my kids and try to be there for them as much as I can, which is kind of hard because a lot of us, are on weird schedules and things.
Yeah.
But, like you said, being present and be there for them and listen to them. Even if I'm here at night, hey, how's it going? Send them a little group text. Just this is an open chance to communicate if something's bothering anybody. But otherwise, just enjoy every moment and try to go with the moment the best you can.
Have you guys ever said I'm sorry to your kid?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not every day, but yeah, no, that's important. Like if I got a little upset, and I look back, I'm like, I was just frustrated with work. I didn't need to get upset. That's something that's definitely important.
See, I feel like that's another piece of advice. Give yourself grace, too.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself grace.
Which is hard to do.
It is.
It's
Yeah,
very
so
for sure.
hard.
But
Yeah.
sometimes you kind of got to step back and evaluate yourself afterwards. And like, okay, could I have done something different, handle a little bit better?
I think after the moment passes, whatever it may be, and you have that self-reflection, and then you do finally tell your children, hey, I'm sorry, I love you, they see that. And they know you're not perfect. So.
Well, good luck this school year, y'all.
We need it.
We're ready. We could do it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Joy.
Thank you.